Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's doing very well. This is Travis from Carter Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the overall market. Hope everybody's doing very well on this Tuesday morning as we go through and be able to take a look at some overall opportunities for being able to trade. Let's go ahead and go through the disclaimer, and then after that, we'll go ahead and jump into everything else and go from there. We're not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from the education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. Now, understand that trading involves risk. Involves risk of being able to make money, also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it's not a promise that you can end up making money today. So give me one quick second. Um, I just want to make sure that everyone can be able to get the links for this morning's trading. Did not have a session yesterday. Uh, Obviously, this is the first time us having a session since Thursday. I want to make sure that everybody's good when it comes down to that. Hopefully, everybody is doing very well. I'm going to put myself onto the screen real quick as we go through and get everything else situated. Not familiar with who I am. My name is Travis. Hope everybody's doing very well. This has been my seventh year of this trading in general. I'm glad everybody's actually online to be able to watch it. If you do, if you end up catching it a little bit later on, that's great. Make sure you post in your comments and everything else. I do read them. It allows me to be able to understand what your thoughts or needs or whatever else may end up being comes down to that as well. So let me go ahead and just placing in links to everybody so everybody can be able to get it. Let's see. YouTube link. And we are there. Okay, cool. All right, perfect. So let's talk about what ended up happening. Let's go on to FX Street. If you're not familiar with FX Street, FX Street is where we end up getting our economic news. We always start off with the economic news first, and then after that, we kind of bridge from the economic news to everything else that we end up taking a look at. So, just want to make sure that everybody can be able to get it. Okay, there we go. Now we can work. Okay, cool. So, Monday, this is the last week of the March month. Friday is going to end up being the last trading day, so we have a full week of trading. Remember, this was the first month of this year where we end up having 5 weeks of overall trading, which meant that we actually ended up having non-farm payroll in actually week 2 of March when it came down to that. Typically, that's not usual. Typically, we end up having it in the first week. So going into April, we probably will end up having this next Friday will probably end up being non-farm payroll when it comes down to that. That's going to be what, the fourth, I believe. Uh, no, that ended up being the 7th of April. And so non-farm payroll is going to end up being on the 7th of April. Now, I'll talk about what typically ends up happening during the last week of the month. Typically, you will not see a lot of high impact news. You end up seeing enough news to be able to kind of go through and just make sure everything else is straight. It will always end up being something when it comes down to GDP, but not necessarily like the big boy news that typically ends up coming out. It's just trying to be able to understand what's going on with the market. So yesterday wasn't a lot of information to be able to pay attention to. Today, we end up having we have a fundamentals day overall, but it doesn't affect the United States dollar. It does affect the Australian dollar. Retail sales are actually negative. We take a look at RAB. Ellis is going to end up speaking. Governor Kuroda has already spoken, and then after that, we're going to end up having President Lagarde from the Eurozone to end up speaking a little bit later on today. So that'll be the things that we have to pay attention to. That does have a effect on what's happening with the euro, United States dollar, and a few other pairs, but not as much as you actually think. And we'll go from there. We've got a new version of Smart Trader. Nice. As we go and be able to pay attention to that. First pair that we're going to end up taking a look at is going to end up being the United States dollar index. Remember, we always take a look at the big three. That the big three is United States dollar index. We take a look at oil. We take a look at gold. The reason why we take a look at those is because it allows us to be able to understand what's happening with the overall market. And then after that, we can kind of be able to trade off of that. So this is where we're at. Market has been flowing through a large range of 13,070 and 12,626 overall. Now, what has happened was that the market has been in three different phases for us being able to have a little bit of consolidation, which has been this box, that box, and the market has broken the inner trend line or a long-term inner trend line, counter trend line break to the downside, coinciding with the market being in a sell zone, which means that from a weekly standpoint, long-term perspective, we should expect that the market for the next few more weeks to be actually bearish overall when it comes down to movement, which allows you to be able to say, okay, when I take a look at the daily, if the daily's in the sell zone, and the market has a true counter trend line break, then we do need to pay attention to that movement because that movement may end up allowing us to be able to look at selling on the United States dollar. So we take a look at the daily. We can see that the daily has had its tail off on being able to sell, but it's actually in the buy zone, which means that the weekly and the daily are not in the same trading position, which also means that it's kind of hard to be able to take a position on being able to trade this in either direction. We can see that the weeklies is to the downside. We can see that the dailies to the downside, and we can also see that the market has not broken the counter trend line break. Because those three things have happened, it makes it hard to be able to suggest any type of movement with the United States dollar from an index perspective to be able to say, hey, yes, this is something that we need to be able to trade. So United States dollar index, I'm going to end up passing right now, at least for until we actually end up breaking the counter trend line break. This purple line that I'm actually going to turn blue so everybody can be able to see it. I'm waiting for that line to be broken to the upside. If that happens, then after that we can be able to start getting back into trading. If not, then we just wait, and we just know overall that the market will kind of pass us by until we end up getting a better position to get into. So United States dollar index will take a look at not doing anything. Oil, um, oil, we end up making money on the sale. The market was in this long-term consolidation. Um, yeah, the market was in this long-term consolidation since November. We end up having a pop from $70 down to $63 a barrel. From there, it actually ended up popping back up, and it's back inside of consolidation now. Now, if you're one of those people that loves being able to trade in consolidation, this may end up being the move to be able to pay attention to if you didn't get in yesterday. This would be nothing more than the market breaking a resistance and then pushing back up to the resistance. So now we're talking about this overall from a weekly perspective. You can see that the market is in a no trade zone, and um, it's actually in the middle of that area, which means that we should see basically consolidation all over again. So the weekly is basically saying sideways. But if you take a look at what's happening with the daily saying that the market is to the upside. So you're one of those traders that has to get into a move and has to feel like you have to be able to take a trade on every pair, or this is one of the pairs that you like being able to do. I would look at being able to say, just look at this being able to buy. But you have to, I would love to be able to see that this market falls first. I don't need a trend line. Let's do a drawing. I would like for the market to be able to fall first, down, retest this from the bottom, and then after that, pop right back up to the upside. Now, can that happen? There's a good chance that it could. I do expect that based off of this movement that we just had, the market may retrace a little bit. Now, one way of being able to know that would be let's see what's happened with these 2 hour fibs. From a 2 hour fib perspective, the market has or will hit a D extension when the market hits $74 a barrel. For the people that love being able to scalp, that would be my scalping move to the upside. Um, I would say that okay, well, if I'm looking at being able to stay in this overall trade, could we get up to $74 before being able to make a move, or before being able to get out of this pair and look for a better opportunity to get in at a lower price. There was some slight consolidation right here. The market's broke out of that position. Then after that, it looks like it's retesting. As long as it holds and keeps this area as natural support, then after that, you have a good chance of being able to remain looking at being able to buy from a scalping perspective. If the market does not do the same, or if the market um, breaks down inside of this consolidation and continues to fall, then I think it will start to be able to do that initial move that we have that's kind of drawn out, which means that we expect for the market to be able to fall down to a spot and then after that kind of push right back up. But from a 2 hour perspective, um, 2 hour perspective, the extensions at $74 a barrel. If the market breaks to the downside, then that means that it's going to end up breaking below the B, which means that it may consolidate right around $70 a barrel before actually pushing back up to the upside. Okay, so there we go, right there. When it comes down to that, oil, nothing to be able to do. Let's take a look at gold. gold has been gold has been EA traders' dreams. It's been um, you can use it when it comes down to grid trading. You can use it when it comes down to scalping. Gold has just been that pair to be able to trade this year, especially if you end up catching it when it first made that move at 16.16. Um, but overall, what's happening right now from a weekly perspective, the market's in the middle of consolidation. The market a resistance high was at 20,070. We end up getting up to 2,000. We haven't got up to that 2,070 position again, kind of like what happened right here and what happened right there. Um, as long as we're in the middle of this consolidation and we can see that the weekly is basically in the middle of the buy zone, it makes it kind of hard to be able to spot out a trade and feel confident in it because it's in a position to where we have a lot of volume, but that volume typically leads to consolidation. So from a daily perspective, we can see that the market is in a no trade zone for the daily. There's no counter trend line break to be able to jump into, and the market seems like it's having a little bit of support at 1940, but it's not ready to ultimately move. So we take a look at gold. Gold is not a position that I would look at being able to trade either, unfortunately, um, when it comes down to that. At least at the beginning of the morning, and we'll go from there. What's going on, Block? I didn't look down at the comments. How you doing? How you doing, big dog? Um, I wish I would have looked down at the comments. Would have made it a little bit easier to be able to say something. Um, now I wonder if I take a look at this page, if there was some comments that just wasn't there. No, that's not the case. Cool. Um, but we're good when it comes down to that. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Hopefully, we can find a move this morning. The algo systems had me on a little bit of a scare earlier this morning. Well, actually yesterday. Um, you end up having a few consecutive losses on gold, and then after that, it turned around and uh, kind of got itself balanced again. Um, Overall, in the last month of actually trading it, or last few days of actually trading it, I'm doing a test on this sub 2,500, so that's okay. Um, but so Bitcoin, we end up talking about when the market ends up getting out of that $25,000 area. We talked about that on Thursday. We talked about, okay, this is what happens when it's going to end up moving. We identified three different positions before where it ended up happening. The first time when the market ended up jumping from 25 to 29 was right here in this area where this arrow was. It really didn't take that much time. It was really more of about four to 5 minutes overall. Sean, what's going on? Hope everything's going well with you. Um, Market ended up taking about 4 to 5 days to be able to push in that area from 25 to 29. We ended up taking a look at what ended up happening in early May 2022. Um, Market actually ended up falling down from 29 back to 25 literally in 2 days from there. Now we're back inside of this position, and the market ended up doing exactly what we thought it was going to end up doing and pushing up to the upside and actually getting up to 29,000, but it rejected very quickly. Or got very close, but it rejected very quickly. The high was at 28,820 when it came down to that movement. So two things. One, if I'm a trader that's trying to get value, I would love the market to reset and go back down to 25,000, and actually um, retest on this movement because this is considered to be a breakout. There hasn't been a retest yet, and I'm actually waiting for the retest to actually happen right around 25,000 before being able to pop right back up and keep on moving and kind of blow past that 29,000 area, and then after that go back into the highs of where we end up having it from there. Yeah, I mean, block has been pretty much the same numbers. Yeah, it's been pretty much the same numbers. Um, Thanks, Trevor. All good from Ireland. Nice, nice. Good morning. Good morning. There we go. Um, but one thing that I would pay attention to block and this overall is that this has been a consolidation. Um, so I wouldn't be surprised if we may see that people may start trying to get in at 26,540. Um, do you think that, in your experience, that Nas would drop below 12,377? We'll take a look at that. Um, Nas US 30, always in my bag when it comes down to trading. Absolutely love trading those pairs. Um, but there's been three separate times that the market has fell down to this 25,620 area, and then after that, kind of end up finding support. So there you go, there you go. Real happened right there. We're gonna see if it's gonna happen a fourth time. Um, And if the market kind of holds up in this area, then after that, one for grid traders, this would be a great area to start being able to place in some of your uh, areas and ranges. For people that don't like trading grid and like being able to trade from a long term perspective, I will actually wait until the market actually makes a movement out of here. Um, so right now, unfortunately, Bitcoin just wait. Jeez. But yeah, we'll just wait again. This Tuesday. I don't know why I'm so anxious to try to get in the trade. Um, let's see. Let's take a look at. Well, let's start off with Nas, and then after that we go to US 30. So the question was, do you think that Nas will drop below 12,377? Okay, so let's go. The first thing that I always talk about is correlations. I want to make sure that we always want to make sure you have a good correlation game because you end up understanding it because it allows you to be able to understand everything that's going through. Um, Nice. Got a couple people from Africa that's watching. Nice. I've been in trade since March 16th. Been going through a roller coaster. Started dropping on Sunday. I'm guessing you're talking about. Are we talking about Nas? Or are we talking about Bitcoin on this one? We're talking about Nas. Or we talking about Bitcoin on this one, Sean. Okay. Okay. That helps me out when it comes down to understanding where you're at. Okay. So going back to what we said with the United States dollar index, and I'm just talking correlations now. If the United States dollar index is falling and making a movement to the downside, then you should expect that indexes will go up. So when the United States dollar gets weak, typically US 30 and NAS ends up getting strong. When the United States dollar gets strong, then typically NAS and United States 30 ends up getting weak. So when it comes down to that, we see that the market is actually falling and it's kind of in the middle of a consolidation. So it doesn't surprise me if we look at what's happening with NAS 100 that the market is falling and we have a little bit of consolidation um, between these two different areas right here. So to make a to answer your question, 12,377. Oh, okay. I get what you're asking. Perfect. Okay. So from a daily perspective, the market is in this ABCD swing to the upside with the D extension at 13,940. The daily is in the sell zone, which means that we should expect that the market could potentially fall. We take a look at also that if you take a look at some of these candlesticks, sellers have been basically not allowing the market to be able to break above this high volume node of 12,007. I'm going to say 750, somewhere around that area, being able to push up to the top side. I do expect that the market will fall. Can it fall 300 points? It falls 300 points all the time. So it wouldn't surprise me that would happen. Now, going back to what I said with oil and going back to what I ended up saying with Bitcoin, this is the breakout right here. The market has ended up having a breakout. It has had a retest, but the retest was on the second day of overall movement. The retest actually happened on this green candlestick right here. Um, yeah, let's see. Retest actually ended up happening on that green candlestick before it actually ended up pushing back up to the upside. So it doesn't necessarily need to retest again. But it wouldn't surprise me if the market does fall down. And if it's going to fall down, it's going to fall down back to will this market end up having a past resistance turn, possibly future support in this area? Um, so yes, I could see that it could fall down to 12,377 because the top of this support is at 12,380. So 12,380 could be a point to where it could fall. And if that's a position where you end up getting in to start off with, then I would probably look at being able to take a little bit of profit off the top, and then after that, look at being able to jump in a little bit later. That would be my answer if you're in a position and you're kind of going through that. You already done. If you got in at 12,377, and you know the market is looking at being able to fall potentially right now, you're already up 200 points, 200 plus points on this one. Wouldn't so it wouldn't hurt to be able to take a little bit off the table. Let's see. I'm still in the trade. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. You took a buy trade. I'm guessing that's the I guess that's the whole argument. You're trying to figure out. Oh, you got in on a sell trade. Okay, okay. So let's talk about it from a seller's perspective. Let's see. Connection. My connection good. Connection's good. Um, from a seller's perspective, because we're leaving from Friday trading and it wasn't necessarily all that much. And obviously, we take a look at the Sunday to Monday trade, it really wasn't a big type of deal either. We can see that the market is essentially in this overall area. Uh, it's inside of this small consolidation. I'm going to make it yellow. So you got into a sell. Okay. Your foundation group. Um, is there a trial or not? So to answer, do me a favor. Um, Send me a private message, and I can be able to answer that question a little bit thoroughly, um, to be able to make sure that obviously you can be able to get all your answers, be able to get your questions answered. Um, but yes, we do have a trial area if you would like to be able to use that, um, in simple terms. Okay, so VWAP is telling that it's bearish. Moving average is saying that it's bearish. We're inside of consolidation when it comes down to this point. Um, the natural support at this point is at 12,600. If the market breaks below 12,600 and closes below right around that 8:30 to 9:30 time, then yes, Sean, I can see that it could fall all the way down to 377. If the market ends up having if the market ends up popping up to the upside, in which we're starting to see consolidation across the board in most of these groups. We can see that we literally just talked about what happened with the United States dollar index and how the market was in a slight consolidation. We end up taking a look at what's happened with Bitcoin, and we see that Bitcoin is running through the same deal when it came down to consolidation as well, where uh, we end up saying, okay, the market broke out, but we have a little bit of consolidation to be able to play around with. So um, we're seeing the same thing between all of these. So I believe that once one of these makes a move, the other one will end up making the same move as well, and kind of going from there. So I do expect that the market to fall. Do I think that it's going to fall all the way down to 12,377? Um, right now, that's kind of uh, I would okay. Let's say it like this: if the market breaks below 12,600 and closes below 12,600, the next area where it will find support is at 12,550. If it breaks below 12,550, then yes, there's a great chance that the market could fall down to this area. Am I saying that I believe that it's gonna happen based off of seeing that this market has found consolidation almost four times and then popped up in this area? The outcome is actually kind of unlikely, especially if the United States dollar keeps on going weak. if it keeps on, if United States dollar keeps on getting weak, then obviously Nas is going to get stronger, and you'll see a pop up to the upside. And that's just looking at the chart, so it's not paying attention to fundamental news or anything else like that. Looking at the charts, it will tell me that it's kind of unlikely. But once again, it's 7 o'clock. We haven't even hit the forex morning bell yet. U.S. started to end it off. So remember, U.S. 30 was in this long-term consolidation that we end up taking a look at. That ended up happening at the beginning of what was it, December, I believe, of last year. No, November. So market started the consolidation. The resistance high was at 34,380. The support was at 32,520. Market broke below the market broke below this long-term consolidation on the 9th of March. Fell all the way down to the support level that we ended up thought it was going to end up going to. We ended up getting out, and then after that, the market ended up pushing right back up to 32,570 again. So there goes your breakout. Here goes your retest. Typically in a retest, and after that, you end up getting a actual movement and understanding about what the market's going to do. There's a better chance of the market rejecting to the downside than it is popping to the upside, typically when we end up seeing this. But that goes against what's going to happen with the United States dollar. The United States dollar, remember, if it keeps on going weak, then that means that this market should get stronger. So if I'm taking a look at what's happening between US 30 and NAS 100 and saying which one is going to give you the clearer opportunity to be able to take a trade, the answer right now is neither. Um, um, I would sit on my hands and kind of wait to be able to get a better answer on both of these first on clear direction before kind of making a move. Now, there's a better chance that US 30 could potentially end up falling. And if it does fall, then I think it could fall back down to these support levels at 31,500. But yeah, that's fine, Sean. Um, let's see. That's the daily. Let's go into the hourly. So with US 30, this is what I could see happening. And because we're in a low volume node area anyway, and there's a better chance of that happening as well. I believe that going into the morning, I think that the market's going to fall. It could fall all the way down to 32,350 safely when it comes down to this movement. There's a support that could happen from a high volume node area right around 32,230. Now, once again, if it falls, then that means that it's suggesting that the United States dollar goes up. From there, market could fall down to this spot. You probably could see a lot of buyers start to get in. And if it does push back up, then we can easily see it push back up, back to the 32,420 area, and then possibly up to 32,690 before actually being able to make a decision on what the market is going to do for its movement. Currently, right now, I would say um, if I'm doing anything, I wouldn't be doing nothing. I would just be sitting on my hands and kind of seeing how the market's going to go. Y'all have heard me say that multiple times. Yes, Sean. Y'all heard me say that multiple times this morning, but it remains to be true. If everything is telling you to sit on your hands and wait, then you got to listen. So that's what we're going to do. We'll see how everything kind of plays out a little bit later on today, and then after that, we kind of make a decision from there. But like always, if you like what I end up doing, please make sure that you end up clicking on the boost button. Hopefully, you end up learning something from the way that we end up going through each and every morning and kind of looking at tradable opportunities. Like always, make sure that you end up planning your trade your plan, and we end up going from there and hopefully be able to find some better opportunities in the morning. Everyone, I'll see y'all a little bit later on. Take it easy. Bye.